Have you ever said yes to something you desperately wanted to say no to, and then spent the rest of the day or even the rest of the week replaying it in your head, wondering why you couldn't just speak up? If saying no feels almost physically impossible, and if protecting your own time and energy leaves you drowning in guilt, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Jaclyn from ASD Life Coaches, where we help autistic adults build real-world skills, independence, and confidence through cognitive life skills coaching. And today, we're tackling one of the topics I hear about most from my clients: boundaries and the guilt that comes with them. Here's exactly what we're going to break down today so you know what to expect. First, we'll look at why setting boundaries is hard for autistic adults. And I mean the actual brain-based reasons, not just you need more confidence. Second, I'll share 2 real-world examples so you can see how this plays out in everyday life. And third, I'll give you 3 practical tools that you can start using right away, including a script that you can literally borrow word for word. Let's start with the why, because understanding what's happening in your brain is the first step to changing how you respond to it. For many autistic adults, setting a boundary doesn't just feel awkward, it can feel genuinely dangerous, and there's a real reason for that. Reason 1, you've been conditioned to mask and comply. Many autistic people grow up being corrected, sometimes constantly, for responses that felt natural to them. Over time, a lot of people learn that keeping others comfortable is how you stay safe. Saying no, pushing back, or expressing a need starts to feel like a threat. Your nervous system has learned to associate self-advocacy with conflict, rejection, or punishment. So even as an adult, when you try to set a boundary, your body sounds an alarm. And that guilt you feel, a lot of the time, it's actually a fear response, not a sign that you did something wrong. Reason 2, autistic brains often over-index on fairness and obligation. Many autistic adults have a very strong internal rule system. So once something feels like a rule, perhaps something like I should always be available to my friends, or a good employee says yes when their manager asks, violating that rule, even for a good reason, feels morally wrong. Your brain flags it as, I broke a rule, I'm a bad person. But here's the reframe. The rule itself might be the problem, not you for questioning it. Reason 3, reading the social cost of not having a boundary is hard to calculate. Neurotypical people often set boundaries intuitively. They feel drained and pull back almost automatically. For autistic adults, that social calculation isn't always automatic. You might not realize a boundary was needed until you've already fully overwhelmed, overcommitted, or in complete shutdown. And by that point, extracting yourself feels even harder because the situation is escalated. So to summarize, guilt around boundaries is usually a combination of fear of rejection, internalized rules without obligation, and delayed awareness of your own needs. None of that means you're selfish. It means your brain has been working really hard with tools that weren't designed for the situation. So let me give you some real-world examples. The workplace example. Love talking about Marcus. Marcus is a 29-year-old who works in data entry. His coworker, Diane, frequently stops by his desk to chat, maybe for 20-30 minutes at a time. Marcus finds the interruptions dysregulating. He loses his place in work, he needs time to reorient, and often he ends up staying up late to catch up. But every time he thinks about saying something, he imagines Diane being hurt, telling other coworkers, maybe his manager thinking he's not a team player. So he keeps saying it's fine and keeps burning out quietly. Marcus doesn't need to be rude. He doesn't need to explain his entire neurotype. He just needs a boundary and a script that makes it feel manageable. Let's do a family example. Priya, who I often speak of, is 34, autistic. Priya loves her mom, but after those calls, she's exhausted and she needs the rest of the evening to decompress. She's thought about asking to shorten the calls, but the guilt is enormous. She thinks, she's my mom, she means well. What kind of daughter limits calls with her own mother? Priya is caught in the obligation trap, the rule in her head that says good daughters are always available. But But a boundary here isn't rejection, it's sustainability. All right, here are 3 concrete tools. Write these down, screenshot this, check the description for the resource link. Do what you gotta do. We gotta first do the permission reframe. Create a mental script you run before setting a boundary. We have to interrupt the guilt spiral before it starts. This works because guilt often kicks in before you've even spoken, because your brain is predicting a bad outcome. The permission reframe gives your brain a repeating thought to anchor onto. So before you set a boundary, say this to yourself out loud if possible. Protecting my energy is not the same as rejecting someone. I am allowed to have limits. Limits make me more functional, not less caring. Write that on a sticky note, put it somewhere, you'll see it. Repetition is how your brain learns new rules to replace the old ones. Use this right before a difficult conversation or in the moment when you feel the guilt rising. Then the soft no script, meaning without over apologizing or leaving the door wide open for pushback, right? Autistic adults often over-explain their no's, which actually invites negotiation. Clear, warm, short response closes the loop more effectively. Here's the script. It's in 3 parts. First, we want to acknowledge, decline, and make an offer. You don't always have to make an offer. Hey, I appreciate you thinking of me. I'm not going to be able to do that. I need to protect my energy right now. I hope it works out for you. That's it. You don't need a reason. You don't need to prove the reason is valid. You don't need to apologize for having a limit. If someone pushes back, you can simply repeat the middle part. I'm not going to be able to do that. Same words, calm tone. You don't give them a debate. Let's adapt it for Marcus. Hey, Diane, I really need to stay heads down during work hours. It helps me stay on track. Can we catch up at lunch instead? It was short, warm, clear, no extended explanation required. And I'm sure Diane would happily comply. Another tool is the energy audit. This is a simple weekly check-in practice to help you identify where boundaries are needed before you hit burnout. It works because autistic adults often don't notice the slow drain until it becomes a crisis. This tool builds proactive awareness instead of reactive damage control. How do we do it? Once a week, maybe Sunday evening or Monday morning, we take 5 minutes and ask yourself 3 questions. You can write the answers down, just think them through, whatever works for you. 1, what drained me the most this week? 2, was there a moment I said yes when I wanted to say no? 3, is there one thing I could adjust, limit, or decline next week to protect my energy? You don't have to act on all 3 answers immediately. The goal is just awareness. Over time, patterns will emerge, and those patterns will show you exactly where your boundaries need to. Make this a maintenance habit. Think of it like charging your phone. Don't wait until it's at 0. Setting boundaries is not a personality flaw to overcome. It's a skill, and like every skill, it gets easier with practice and the right tools. You are not too sensitive. You are not too rigid or too much. You are someone whose nervous system needs structure, honesty, and sustainability. That's not a burden on the people around you. That's just information about what it takes for you to show up well, and you deserve to show up well each and every time. If this video helped you, like and subscribe to the ASD Life Coaches channel. We post new skill building content every week made specifically for autistic adults. And if you want to go deeper, asdlifecoaches.com to learn more about one-on-one cognitive life skills coaching. You don't have to figure this out on your own.